And she lives in El Cerrito, and if you want a copy of the book, we've got them here today, so please see me afterwards. Please welcome Tess Taylor.
What a cool way to spend lunch hour, really. This is so fun. Thanks, Robin. How's the sound? Awesome. This book, The Forage House, zigzags between family past in Virginia and childhood in California. So those are the kind of two places we're going to be. This poem is called Big Granny. When they found Emmeline, a nail held her sack dress together at the neck. She lived by gathering herbs for curing leather, lived off land her people held since they took it from the Cherokee, quilted mountainsides in Appalachia where they hewed walnut into rocking chairs and sang the stony country's blessings be, and ballads carried in their ears from Scotland. From my grandmother, her granddaughter, I have one word in her dialect, stam. Long ah, half rhyme with steam, its meaning not enough, as there's nary stam of tea nor sugar nor. In Ironlight, in the mountain graveyard, her clan settler stones grow up with moss thick as harmonies in shape note tune. In those woods, a shadowy foundation. They took apart her house to save the boards. I love reading in October, month of ghosts, month of my birthday. This poem is called Official History. You work as a journalist, pursuing legends of other people. It is October. Gold leaves fall on your birthday. Little mysteries swirl with you, a Tess, now hunting out a dented spoon or crest, some half disguise by which to know yourself. In Boston or Brooklyn, you carry some rune, afraid of a lover, dreading the war. Your friends barter carbon, prepare for pandemics. In airports, you watch tarmacs flicker through your reflection, leave versions of selves in the various cities, misplace your doppelgangers. Little America's discarded paperbacks, oh slaveholder and oh bastard son, oh blurred stone and out-of-wedlock woman. I'm going to read two poems called World's End, and they are different World's Ends. One is a World's End that was in Virginia. It was the site of a plantation that was owned by the Randolph family. So this poem is called World's End on the site of Randolph Wilton. There's a couple interesting words in this poem, but the one that I wanted to tell you about is Platt, and Platt is the name of a plantation map. 1. Platt. Not one X marks its shanties, but I read how it was Powhatan once, a fishing camp, a dot on John Smith's map, east of drawn-in savages dancing, north of where his etched and tongue fires lean. How the pit they're digging to expand the Powhite or Pocahontas Parkway was first salt meadow, cordgrass tributary, the English christened World's End. Found a skull. Found a human femur. Next, a Randolph port where dinghies freighted cargo from the Chesapeake, a hemp-tied ramp where the enslaved of Wilton shouldered cuffed tobacco harvests. On one Platt, lacy tracery, barns, ice houses, ferry, wharf. Daub beam dwellings crumbled without record. 2. Plantation. Other bodies wait beneath the mud. Elsewhere now, preserved, the great house, moved for its historic interest, welcomes tourists. Regard its planks of broad New World wood, traded what they grew in kitchen gardens. Regard the portraiture, each rough and ruche, the era's china, framed and still. Historians speculate an informal economy of gleaned objects, as if intact each cool reconstruction. On roads beside the gates, passing windshields flash pewter like rare buttons in the till. 3. Bulletin. No one may ever find one name of any of these unearthed dead. Bones lie in tangled heaps while other names emerge as wills, haphazard property, as the hunted in police rolls, next to notices for stolen goods or purloined rings or watch fobs or curative elixirs. Gull-bill turns Cree above the sedge. My Negro Samuel, one crazy eye. No paper marks these graves as family site. Limps, looks for him at his mama's. That violent silencing endures. I'm afraid, my friend says, of looking, of finding nothing, of a search ending in nothing. She says, I hallow all the disappeared. I feel heavy with wild namelessness. 4. Oh, descendants, I am sorry. Ancestors, I would undo this if I could. 5. Map. Just before exit 67, purple clouds heap up. Beyond undug graves, freeway workers mount beams and spurs. Atlases note the new route number. I write, how much I wish for will not be recorded. One more poem in Virginia. This poem takes its name from a map that was called Part of Virginia, and it was a map of the coastline that was used as a settler's map. It was written by a man named Theodore DeBry, and it's actually very, very beautiful, kind of like a snaky S. It's an elaborate coastline. The poem is called Virginia Pars. At first, among certain shadows, you felt forbidden to ask whose they were. So little to inherit, family tree, tarnished pride, a patrician lilt to certain vowels. Real money lost, tail crocheted in Brockenbrough doilies. Still, sad alcoholic ghosts came stalking. Unsolved, always thinking white or colored, they slunk by, rank as shame. Haunted by remains, somehow you were and were not the Confederate soldiers in your grandmother's nook. You came in ripped jeans from California and tasted their seed, their curd, their underworld of 80 proof or no proof, a difficult nut, cracked but rotten. Known unknowns, unknown knowns, lost, not lost, like tobacco barns on the road south, mud-daubed life that crawled under your skin to inhabit, ensnare, become partway your own. Ghost snippets, daddy listening as Scotch glasses clinked, granddaddy killing possums with Lewis the colored man. You felt this, not this, self, other. You still wanted for them to explain their America, their prodigal, half-remembered, always present pain. Impossible to ask. Don't speak of race. The record scratched. I don't recall. I never knew. Anyone who'd tell you's dead, and no one would tell you. I'm going to read one more World's End poem, and this is for a different World's End, the one that's north of San Francisco. Those of you that have spent time at the Headland Center for the Arts will recognize some of these things. World's End, north of San Francisco. 1. Fortress. At the continent's end, a river otter live as compacted water, arches through Thule, a heron, a poker-faced coyote, pelicans, ancient emblem of charity, dive, spears mining water. I know, and they do not, how they were Renaissance symbols, how here the hummingbirds were Miwok gods. 2. Ghost Town. The Nike missile site. One curated missile rises for tourists on Wednesdays. In front, a mannequin soldier, enclosure swallowed in foxtails. Hikers spelunk through each bunker. Teenagers meet up for sex. Battery Wallace, Battery Alexander, Battery Townsley, cementing the hills. 1907, 38, 63. Bombs widened their range of destruction. Now they seem almost Roman, these ruins. Our conquests are going on elsewhere. In the lagoon, hill shapes waver, tree forms grow obscure. At sea, through the Golden Gate, the great Hanjin Sea princess sails west, west to China. 3. Compass. As a girl, I named plants here. As a pioneer, I crossed prairies by train. My life delivered me at the mouth of the Pacific. Ruby-throated gods fed at our bottle brush. I learned plant names in English. I discovered the East through 19th century novels and movies about New York. The East was the past. My family came a long time ago. After lunch, I crest the hills, thinking about what we drag behind us, the inadequacy of language to place. I examine coyote scat, fault-line sandstone, jarred-up plates. I run over a seafloor sedimented 600 million years between willow thickets the Spanish called Socelito. The fog is bridal and ghostful. The foghorn sounds perfect fourths. Plum trees from Portuguese farms wild back into the hills. Poison oak glints among sticky monkey. On a serpentine outcrop, a crow. His rasp ripens out towards the ridge line. I stand on a crumbling fortress, making bouquets of thistle. I'm just going to read 2 more short poems. One takes a line from a poem by W.H. Auden called The Fall of Rome. And after Rome has fallen, suddenly, for no reason, Rome has fallen very cinematically for many rhyming stanzas. Auden says, altogether elsewhere vast herds of reindeer move across miles and miles of golden moss silently and very fast. This poem is called Altogether Elsewhere, but there's no reindeer in it. They multiply, these cities of the heart, these rooms we lodge our bodies in. Brief beds. One California night, I swam between the humpbacked coastal ranges and woke scotch-tinged wet and newly dreaming to smokestacks and sharp dawn in Queens. Light split the branches of fresh trees. A stage-set life implied itself from props. Now morning, pigeon flocks, construction sites, a western freeway's glint, a garden filled with verbena, sage, my childhood light. This midsummer too will go so soon. Oh, unfinishable homes, you each feel so real so briefly. I feel you incompletely. And on such a beautiful day, it seems like a shame not to try to sing a praise poem. Song for Sonoma. Dear sad ducks, dear boats and truck, dear barn in the fallow field, dear vines in winter, dear deer and such, dear power lines in a slow valley, dear unnamed hills on the smoggy skyline, hills like fists or narwhals or loaves of bread. Dear hawk and thicket, scaup pecking a puddly traffic island, dear racetrack, dear gimcrack, and so on. Dear tractor in lemongrass, dear kestrel, red-tailed hawk, wobbly pink shed just off the road. Dear arroyos, toyon, oyster-nacre ocean. Now that I have your attention, I ask you to stay in the sun as you are. Hold the bowl of the sky down with your shapes. Hold the earth a while longer as it swims in our vision. Thank you so much.